Good evening, I'm Jeff Lyons. It is 9 o'clock here on Monday, November the 24th, time for the 14 First Alert Weather Show at 9 o'clock. And I'm watching your comments here on 14 News Facebook page. You know the drill, so if you have questions or concerns, you can put them on there, and we'll get to those in just a bit. Well, we have rain moving in late. We'll check that on the radar in a moment, and it's going to be dry, but much colder for Thanksgiving, only up to about 40 degrees or so, and even colder on Friday. And then we have more rain, possibly snow this weekend. A lot will hinge on where you are in the tri-state. So with all that on the line, let's forage ahead here. Our rain at the moment kind of consolidating here to the southwest, and we'll begin to move in here by about 10:30 or 11 o'clock and continue overnight. We may hear some rumbles of thunder, although we're not expecting any severe weather out there. We don't have quite the dynamics to do that, even though we have a warm front lifting through. By 2 a.m., everybody covered over with rain. Showers continue through about 5:30 tomorrow and then taper off during the morning. We will begin to clear the skies by late tomorrow night and early Wednesday morning. Right now we are at 53 degrees out there, and the pressure is lower there, 29.94. Lows today got down to 46 degrees, and our highs this afternoon actually managed to climb into the middle 50s, which is a little bit warmer than the average. That high temp today about 3 above normal, and we were 6 degrees warmer out there at this hour than we were yesterday. So that shows the warming trend. And then our normal low temperature was very warm this morning, about 12 degrees warmer than the average, and the afternoon high about 2 degrees. So all in all, those just a fancy way of saying it's been warmer than normal here through the weekend, despite the clouds and the fog yesterday. And then our 54 today, kind of in line with typical November weather. Our rainiest day this month was last Tuesday with 1.25 inches. And for the month now, we are still behind by about 1.2 inches. For the average temperature, we have trended warmer than normal too. If you're driving out to school or work tomorrow, it's going to be lousy. Cloudy skies, rain, and maybe some fog out there, so you might need extra time to get to where you're going. Temperatures will then rise to near 60 by the afternoon, and that fog should roll in along with the rain overnight. So, of course, we've had 2 foggy days. You're probably used to not seeing anything out there, especially during the morning. The main driver of this weather is a low pressure back over Springfield, Missouri, that's lifting a warm front through. To the south, we have southerly winds coming up, carrying in that Gulf moisture, which is what's fueling the showers. Now, once this clears out tomorrow evening, then we get our second surge of cold air, and that is going to make a big difference on Wednesday, Thursday, as high temperatures then pull back down into the 40s, which is really where they probably should be this time of the year. High pressure will stay in the plains here and keep us dry, and mostly sunny there Thursday and Friday. And then you see we go right back up here with some warmer temps and rain and or snow on the way over the weekend. I keep saying and or snow, so I'll show you what I'm looking at here. And I think it's going to be rain, by the way, but just to cover everybody here, because I know on the stream we have a lot more people a little more far-flung. So Saturday morning at 8, the GFS is painting some snow from about the St. Louis, basically St. Louis to Indianapolis there along I-70 and north. So like if you're watching us up in Clay, Richland, Lawrence counties, or maybe over toward McLeansboro, somewhere like that, more of a potential to see some flakes out there. I don't know that we're going to see any accumulation necessarily, as the temperature will be rising on that southerly wind, and then we just shift over to rain there by Sunday afternoon and evening, and stay in the rain for Monday and Tuesday before that all moves out, and then Tuesday by noon, more rain coming in. So that's that. Now look at the European here, and you're going to scratch your head because after Thursday and Friday clear, we have the same scenario here, some snow to the north, rain to the south, but notice how it sets up on Saturday with the rain pretty much going up almost to that same boundary line there, Interstate 70. And in this case, it would be rain. I'm leaning toward the rain because our temperatures have been trending warmer anyway, and I think that that is probably, and of course we're still, what, 5-6 days out. So, you know, this will probably change, but rather than start screaming snow, I think we need to take a little time here, watch the models come in a couple more runs to see. But the overriding environment there, I believe, will favor rain over the weekend here in the tri-state. Okay, now if you have friends and family traveling, especially north or northwest, say to Chicago or back to Minneapolis, Omaha, they may be running into some wintry weather over the weekend. So, and we'll of course update that as we get new information. 52 tonight, and then tomorrow rainy, 61 degrees with some cloudy conditions and fog. And then over the weekend, you see these highs, plenty warm for rain. The low, the only sticky point here would be Saturday morning's low. But once we get that south wind established, I think we're going to be out of any kind of snow business whatsoever. Longer range temperature outlook through the 8th of December showing us at or below normal and slightly above normal on rainfall. And that did not crop as much as I hoped it would, but you see the dog here is Julie. I'll have to run this one again tomorrow night. It looked good on my computer, but here on the monitor it kind of got a little big. See the dog and the pet parent there. It just said Julia on the description, so you can decode that if you want. All right, let me see what's on your mind here this evening. And we have a few of you in there. No rain or snow to report. That's good, William Raleigh. It's always good when there's no snow to report. Debbie Thomas, let's see. William Raleigh, well, we can arrange that. Email me and we'll set that up. Okay, everybody's just wishing me a good evening here. I appreciate it. We're just kind of in that waiting game now before Thanksgiving, and I know a lot of you either are doing preparations or maybe have family coming, you're going to travel, or maybe you're not doing anything at all. But whatever the case, the weather's going to be very cold over the weekend, or at the end of the week here, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Wanted to talk about the barometer for a minute. Many of you have, issues when the pressure swings around and goes crazy. You get a headache, you get joint pain, things like that. But prior to that, nobody knew about the barometer, right? I mean, they knew their bones hurt and everything. So I wanted to talk a little bit about where barometers came from. And it was actually thought to have begun with the Italian scientist Torricelli. And Torricelli did a whole bunch of stuff, but we're just going to focus on the barometer here. And for whatever reason, he had created a vacuum in a glass tube and then had mercury in there. And notice that the mercury would only rise to a level of about 30 inches. And he couldn't figure out why then on some days the column would be a little higher this way and other days it would be lower. And his hunch was that the air or the atmosphere had weight. And that was a big, it wasn't an orthodox thought. Everybody thought the air was weightless in this era. We're talking about 1600s here. Another scientist named Pascal also thought that perhaps the atmosphere or air molecules had weight. And so sort of between the two of them, it was established that the atmosphere in fact did have a weight and that it equated to about 30 inches of mercury in the column. However, if the weight of the atmosphere changed for some reason, like say low pressure or high pressure, the column height would move up and down. And those inches are what we now today measure the barometric pressure in, right? Or at least we reported it inches. In meteorology, we use millibars and also hectopascals to honor Pascal. And it used a long time ago, the barometer, it would be torr, right? Like 973 torr would be 973 millibars, but torr. I know there's way too much in physics. It always gets complicated, right? It should be the simplest thing. But anyhow, the thing you need to think about is that as the atmosphere gets heavier, that's because we have high pressure pushing down. And that usually leads to clear skies. It also leads to higher barometric pressure because it's pushing down here, and then the column rises. And the opposite is true when we have low pressure. Less pressure here allows the column then to go down and the outer bowl of mercury to go up. So that's that. Now, of course, most of you have barometers that look maybe like this, probably not. They're just electronic now. no mercury in them. They use an aneroid box, right? A sealed box that is flexible and changes size depending on whether the atmosphere is losing pressure, gaining pressure. And so we call that an aneroid barometer. And the practical output, at least for weather and meteorology, is that if we take barometer readings around the country, and there are many, many observing sites out there, something like 5,000 across the country, and we connect a line from each one that is identical, lines of equal pressure. This is what isobars are. And so when we draw the isobars on the map, the agreed upon spacing is 4 millibars, right? So if this one is 10, let's say 1020, this one will be 1016 millibars, 1012 millibars, and so on. And if the lines then are, because they're equal pressure, remember, if they're close together, that shows us that we have a steep pressure gradient. And if we have a steep pressure gradient, typically we have windy conditions. Closer or packed isobars indicate windy. Widely or widerly spaced isobars, less windy out there. And then the contour here converges on the low, which is right in the middle. Cold fronts and warm fronts usually drawn where you see a little kink in those isobars, and that is because you either have a trough here or maybe a little ridge pattern that's showing up. And of course, in the old days, meteorologists hand analyzed maps. Today, it's pretty much done by computer, but even at the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, sometimes hand analysis can really help you see the detail that is in the map. And there's a lot of interpretation involved when you're doing hand analysis versus computer analysis. But it is a useful tool. It's something I learned how to do. And to be honest, I don't do it every day here. There simply isn't time in a broadcast day. But it's interesting, and it helps you to understand where the maps are derived. And then another way we show you pressure is with the pain predictor, which is what started this conversation. Typically pressures below 30, especially if it drops suddenly, will cause headache and other unpleasant side effects, muscle or joint pain and all of that. All right. Let's see here. I think we got everybody answered here. Very good. So I'm going to go back and rest my voice here. This sounds good compared to Saturday. I was croaking my way through the Owensboro Christmas parade with Byron, who was in full voice and full regalia there. So we had a good time in Owensboro. I know Byron and Arden did the Sunday parade here in Evansville. I'll see you in the Henderson parade. I think that's next Saturday, not this, but next Saturday. Anyway, enough shameless plugging here. I'll see you on 14 News at 10 o'clock. Thanks for watching.